So I'm just going to apologize in advance to all the poor ladder players who, after this video goes live, are now going to have to play against this absolute abomination of a deck. So basically, Beast Warrior just got a brand new support card that upon summon will send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Now keep in mind, we're playing Duel Links, a 20 card deck game where you start the game with about 4 to 5 cards in your hand, depending if you go first or second, and then depending on your starting hand and what skills you're using, you'll be searching for another 3 to 4 cards depending on your combo and your starting hand. That means before activating this card, your deck list is probably only going to have about 12-ish cards left in it. Surely there isn't some way we could possibly abuse a deck list milling almost half its deck every single game. So here's today's deck list. Alright, so before we get into the deck list, I just want to quickly point out that I'm actually only 8 subscribers away from 90,000, and it's also, at the time of this upload, gonna be my birthday. So you know what would be a great start to the day? Hitting 90,000. So if you guys aren't subscribed yet, really consider doing so, and without further ado, let's jump into this deck list. Alright, so today's deck list is obviously going to be your Orcust in combination with your Lunalight. Now, why the hell have I combined these two archetypes now? Well, we just got a brand new card that has completely broken this combination, and that is of course going to be your Bujintei Kagutsuchi, or however you pronounce this card. This thing takes 2 level 4 Beast Warrior type monsters, which of course, your Lunalights are generally some level 4s that are really easy to get in the graveyard and then revive to the field thanks to your Tiger. You'll be doing this every single game, it's very, very easy to get this thing on the field. And as soon as you do, this thing on summon, so you plan to book a moon or some way to destroy this thing or banish it or something, it won't matter. This thing on summon will send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And it's really important to note that Lunalight, thanks to its skill, thanks to its milling off of this thing, thanks to its searches off of Tenki, is actually going to have not that many cards in your deck when you activate this. So the chance of hitting an Orcust card, specifically one of these 3 Orcust cards in a 20 card deck, despite the limitations of these cards only allowing you to play 3 of them, you're going to hit it about 70 to 80% of the time. And if you do so, you are going to be comboing to the moon. You'll see during all the replays, it looks pretty goddamn cool. Unfortunately, because the Duel Links timer is fairly short, it can lead to a lot of misplays, which you'll also see during the replays, but it's a very fun deck, and if you do enjoy just sort of milling a whole bunch of stuff and then just trying to build a board based on that, you'll really enjoy this deck list. Even if you do miss that 70% mill to hit an Orcust card and you hit absolutely nothing, keep in mind this thing does have a bonus effect, where if a Bujin Beast Warrior type monster control be destroyed battle or card effect, you can attach from seized material from this card instead of destroying one of those monsters, meaning this thing is a fairly hard card for your opponent to remove, especially if they're playing an archetype that doesn't have a bunch of actual anything outside destruction removal. They're going to have trouble getting through this thing, and of course if you do survive a turn and you've milled a bunch of Lunalight cards, we have a copy of your Lunalight Wolf in here, which you can scale, use all those Lunalights you just put in the graveyard, and summon out a gigantic, untargetable Sabre Dancer. And you'll see this a lot during the gameplay. If anything, it's actually your main finisher. So, without further ado, let's jump to some gameplay showcasing what exactly you can do with this deck list. Alright, let's jump into these replays. So, fair warning before we get into them. This is the kind of deck where I'm kind of just smacking my head on the keyboard and hoping to end on an end field. It's one of those decks where there just really isn't enough time in Duel Links to sort of think about what you're doing too much, so some of these replays are going to look a little bit scuffed, some of them fairly entertaining, and some of which are just downright disgusting the end fields I end on. So hopefully you enjoy it all the same, despite even sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'll try to commentate, but it gets a little bit scuffed at times. Alright, so those of you wondering about win rates and stuff with this deck list, it had a pretty good showing-ish. I wouldn't say it's like necessarily better than standard Lunalight or anything like that, but I started at Legend 1 after having some really unlucky Dark Magician testing earlier, and ended up around Legend 3, so it climbs on ladder, it does good enough, and it's a very fun deck for you guys that like sort of milling a lot of cards to your graveyard. On average, you end up on about like 5 cards left in your deck list most games. Alright, so this first duel isn't going to be all that exciting, it's just going to be a standard turn 1 setup for what you can sort of do. Well, I say standard, but sort of what you're aiming for. Alright, so searching for my dude, activating Kaleido, sending to the graveyard, Tiger reviving. Now I can use Martin to bounce back the Tiger. Alright, special summoning the Martin. 2 level 4s on field can go into our Xyz monster, which is the entire goal of this deck list to create this card. On summon, it sends 5 cards to the graveyard. Alright, and we hoped to hit some Orcust, and we certainly did. So Knightmare could be sending a copy of the Harp. Harp banishing to summon the Cymbal. Those 2 monsters on field can now go into my Automaton. So now shuffle back into the deck to grab my field spell, hopefully. If you didn't mill it, sometimes you accidentally mill the field spell, and that's okay. It's not like the deck's dead if you do, it's just a bit unlucky. Alright. Tiger going to be reviving. This deck is so weird, because like, you'd want to play like 30 cards to have less chance of hitting the field spell, and less chance of opening hand to hitting Orcust. But if you do that, the chance of this thing milling in Orcust is like way too low. So I'm playing it at 20 for a very high chance of milling with this, like a 75% chance of like a milling off this. One of the 3 cards you need to hit. So, it's a weird feeling for this deck list. Anyway. Sending this card to the graveyard, you'll see in a lot of the replays I send this card to the graveyard, it's because you can grab this card back very easily on the following turn to then hit for easy lethals by summoning out the 4K dude. Alright, and the 2 level 4s on field are going to end on a copy of my Evilswarm Nightmare. So, oh yeah, and then we go into a copy of the Decode Talker, finally using the Harp and Graveyard to bring back the Link, and ending on a copy of Dingirsu. So this was the goal for your end field. This is what the most optimal end field is that you're looking for. Field spell in play, Evilswarm Nightmare on field to split things face down, and if your opponent has a Book of Moon or an enemy controller or some way to deal with this Evilswarm Nightmare, which is normally a big deal for standard Lunalight plays, because they end on this card, and if your opponent has a Book of Moon, you're probably dead. But in this case, if he has a Book of Moon, if he has like a Chalice or something to try to target this thing, I can just activate my Decode Talker, negating it using shooting the Dingirsu. Dingirsu goes to graveyard, and of course, then I can activate the bunch of Orcust effects engraved using the Babel. Unfortunately, my Cymbal skeleton's currently banished. I had that back, right? Yeah, I had it back. So during the end phase, I had back the Harp with the skeleton. So when this thing is tributed, I can now use the field spell to revive it as well. Alright, bit of a mouthful there. See what I mean by this deck list is kind of overly complicated sometimes. The turn timer really just isn't long enough for me to really explain what's going on. Or to really know what's going on. Alright, on to our next replay. Now, if you're one of those guys who likes to be laid back when playing their games and just sort of click yes the entire time, it might not be the deck for you. Maybe try playing some New Bell or something. Alright. Alright, this is an example of someone that just clicks yes. This guy, he just did not care what activation I was doing. He was gonna negate it. You'll see what I mean in a second. This guy was a bit odd. Yeah, cool combo though. You're gonna summon out a Formula Synchron and have a copy of the negate dude on field. I've already forgotten the name. The Speed Road card. Alright. Dynastyrum being played. Junk Synchron, going for a Clear Wing before finally ending on a Crystal Wing. Which combos really well with this card, because you can negate, summon out the level 10, then summon this thing back for another negate, because this thing's on field. So 3 negates set up here. But thankfully this guy's a bit of a dummy and negates everything I do. So he negates this card when its basic purpose is for cost, send Slank to grave, so it's a complete waste of time. I guess he just didn't really have a body on field or something. Alright, Tiger. He's going to then summon out his warrior. To be fair, this guy probably doesn't know I'm playing an Orcust variant, as who the hell is playing an Orcust variant in this deck list? So he's probably just hoping I just get rid of all my resources to the graveyard and can't activate my fusion spell. So if I do get off the fusion spell, it is pretty bad for him to try to deal with. Alright, can I activate the wolf? This now means I can do a Pendulum Summon, because we are playing the scales in this deck. Pendulum Summon, he's going to negate that, which is great. Don't give a shit. Alright, Kaleido Chick sending once again, and then he negates my Chick again. I think he just thinks that without anything on my field, I can't do a Fusion Summon, which, I mean, there's a wolf right here, buddy. But that's not even what we're aiming for. Screw the wolf. I would use the Martin, add this back to hand, activate it again, revive a level 4, and yeah, we're doing some milling, boys. 12 cards left in deck. I take my Bujin. And we're down to 7. Now we're down to 6. These 2 cards, of course, becoming Automaton. Checking to see if we've got anything left. We have got the field spell left, actually. 6 cards left in deck. Alright, 5 cards left in deck. There's our Evening Twilight setting to the graveyard. Wolf can now fusion summon, making sure to fusion summon using the Lunalight Kaleido chick whenever you can, because of course banishing that from grave means if he has a Kite Roid or some sort of hand trap, we won't care. And of course, out it comes. Sabre Dancer. 4,000 attack Sabre Dancer. Yeah, Sabres are really good in this deck list because obviously with the amount of milling you do, your graveyard's filled with so many goddamn Lunalights, and you can keep sending them to the graveyard with Chick as well. So you just stack your graveyard with just as many Lunalights as you can, making that thing really big. Alright, up to Salt now. Alright, playing Joey. This guy's playing Red Eyes. Oh yeah, this is the, this replay was hella scuffed. This was so scuffed. Alright, so I need to set up a turn 1 board here. Hand wasn't looking too bad. This is actually a really good hand. But unfortunately, sometimes you don't hit the 75% chance. So I revive, I summon, send, revive back. Go for my Bujin, and we hit absolutely nothing. We hit this card. This is not the Orcust we're looking for. So, how am I going to fix this? Well, I do have an Orcust in my hand. So I'm going to revive, use all 3 of these monsters for a Knightmare Unicorn, to discard my own Orcust, to remove my own card, just so I can revive. Was this worth it? Probably not, but we end on an Enfield, okay? We did something. Alright, Automaton. Automaton will be shuffling back in. Of course, by the way, I think the, you notice the field spells in the deck still, so I was like, oh shit. So of course, on top of the bad mills, we actually milled fucking Babel as well. Good stuff. But it's fine. I'll just make a Decode Talker and I'll summon out a Skeleton. And Decode Talker with Evening Star. What can go wrong? Opponent's going to Red Eyes Fusion, summoning out the Skull. We don't really care too much about this card. Because thankfully this isn't a, like an effect that activates, just like you use to stop your stuff from dying. Alright, he's gonna MST, not gonna negate that despite how much I wanted to, because I wanted to make sure I don't die here. He swings in, protect my monster. And now we're good to go. So Return gonna be sending to Graveyard. Before I can put a monster on the field, he's now going to steal my card, which is fine, don't really care. Activate a second chain. Return of the Red Eyes. Alright, sending his card to Graveyard, he's going to seal it before I do. Don't really care, we've got a full hand again, so whatever. Tiger Revive. Add back. Discard. Grab the Scale. And that was the little combo that you just saw there, what I was talking about with why you send this card to the graveyard as much as you can. Because it's very, very easy to revive it, or just add it back to hand with Black Sheep. Yeah, not revive it, add it back to hand with Black Sheep. Alright, we're up to this one now. I'm just up against was it Shindy Cha or something? What is that? That's N-E Cha something.
Duel.
Alright. So activating the Orcust Return turn 1 so we can get that Orcust out of my hand. I'm going to be using my skill here because I actually want to... This is a common play you'll use with this deck, which is why we're actually running the skill. Is because if you happen to open a Cymbal Skeleton or open one of your Orcust cards, you can normal summon it, but you have to then get another way to get a card in Graveyard and revive it. So if you can get a hold of a Tiger, you can use your skill to put a Lunalight in Graveyard, you can then normal summon the Cymbal Skeleton, and you can just do it that way. So it's not too bad if you open Skeleton or the old level 4, because you can just normal summon them. Alright, sending 5 to Graveyard, hoping to hit some stuff. I think we did. What did we hit? Oh, we hit Babel, which is a bit annoying, but we did actually hit some other Orcust cards. We hit 3, actually, so we're looking pretty good. Alright, Cymbal Skeleton reviving. Automaton shuffling back in. Or Automaton. Decode Talker. For finally reviving a level 4. So we can have the optimal board set up, except without the field spell. That's still fairly decent because we've got the main advantage is we just want to make sure this thing is protected from Book of Moon. No Dingirsu either, but at least this thing cannot be Book of Moon, which is all that matters. Because if he can't get through this thing, he's probably screwed. As is most decks. And he's playing Live Twin. It tries to enemy controller. No, not letting that happen. Actually, someone tried to enemy control me in a lot of games today, actually. I think we'll see him in one of the other replays too. Alright, so Book of Moon, Book of Moon. Alright, Tiger reviving. Martin going to be bouncing. Evening Star. Sending to graveyard. These 3 then becomes a Unicorn. Discarding. Tries to target, we don't care. And finally ending off with the Fusion Summon. It's basically just trying to bait out as much back throw as we can whilst this thing still has something attached to it. Not that it matters, this thing isn't targetable anyway, but... and he's gone. Alright, Kamikaze. A Lunalight mirror match, I think? Actually, this guy's playing Live Twin, actually, never mind. Yep, get Effect Veiled. I don't know why he'd ever Effect Veil this thing. Again, this thing is mostly just used to send things for cost, so don't negate this thing. Activating my Tiger. Alleviation sending so I can revive. Then I can bounce. That's of course 2 level 4s, so we know what we're going into. This card has some pretty sick artwork, by the way. Getting a whole bunch of Orcust. Making Automaton. Banishing, reviving. Shuffling back in, grabbing the field spell. Doesn't look like we can end on the rank 4 this time though. That's alright, we'll just end on Dingirsu and just do a sort of Orcust-y sort of a setup. So Evening Star, these 3 then becomes your Decode Talker. And yeah, then we're ending on that. So we have got the, we've got all Cymbal Skeleton to revive in graveyard to get rid of a card on field. He has enemy controller, which we can actually negate. Could say they're both my monsters, but that's still fine. Apparently this guy's still playing BLS with Live Twin, which is not very common anymore, I don't think. Alright, bouncing, we now have 2 scales, so we can Pendulum Summon. At this point, just flexing though, I'll be honest. This guy is very, very much in trouble. Alright, Kaleido chick. He's going to try to Blister Squad. That's not quite how that works. Even in the face of 4K. Alright, a little bit of a scuffed end board that one, but it was pretty decent. It's more of just an Orcust sort of end field. And ending on the Bujin card, if you want to keep it on field, isn't even that bad, considering he also has, like, protection on him. If your opponent tries to destroy it, he can just attach materials to not be destroyed. So it's kind of like having 2 Dingirsus on field. They sort of protect, they're just both protected. Alright, another life point boost alpha user. Is this guy also on Live Twin? There are a lot of Live Twins today. Alright, Kaleido. Oh, this guy's playing Tenki. Alright, reviving, adding back to hand, getting level 4 out. Those become the Bujin. That was a bit of a scuff start though, because normally you want to bounce this thing, because if you don't bounce this thing, you won't get to use it for a second revive, so adding this back to hand was probably not what I was meant to do here. I don't know, either way. Reviving. We've got some Orcust on field, going for an Automaton. There is my return. Gonna use the return to get the Orcust out of my hand. Knightmare sending. We can Pendulum Summon now. I always find it funny when I Pendulum Summon with this deck list. Alright, Chick sending. Ending on an Evening Star, and we've ended on the wall. This is not the most optimal end field, but my god is it a wall. He's got a lot of stuff to try to get through. Yeah, I see him try to crack it. Yeah, each time a Bujin Beast Warrior would be destroyed, you'd detach to stop from being destroyed. This thing is actually a Bujin Beast Warrior, so it can just protect itself. Actually looks so similar, both are protecting themselves, both at 2600 stat line. Alright, this guy goes for a Berserker. Before summoning out a copy of the Shooter. And going for a Draco Berserker. I can now, of course, use the Shooter in Graveyard to remove a card on the field. For some reason, he chose this one. I don't know in what world you wouldn't choose Dingirsu here, but you know, each their own. Then tries to swing in, I can just protect myself, I don't care. Yeah, I don't know why you would choose that one, but anyway. Using every single monster on my field. This is mostly just because I want a Ding in Graveyard. Knightmare Unicorn, so I can shuffle something back in. Get rid of this thing. Force him to use its effect. Summon back Ding. Non-target removal, so I don't care about any of that shit in the graveyard. And now we can Fusion Summon. Summoning Kaleido to mill some extra cards for some extra damage. There's the Sabre Dancer. Can't use anything in battle phase, and he is just dead. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. I know there was a bit of a mess and a bit of scuff sort of commentary going on, but hopefully you enjoyed it all the same. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob? Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis. Oh.